Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're playing more of the dual casting seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which the first special card we play on our turn, we play twice. That means special spamming decks are incredibly strong, including this one right here. So let's go give it a look. So today we'll be doing a quick deck guide on a new Skellige Battle Trance deck that is very similar to a deck that we used in Standard a few weeks ago, but in this case, we've optimized it more for the dual casting event and spamming as many special cards as possible. And for an alchemy deck, that makes it really strong. So in round one, we want to use in Gedyneith Shadow, the scenario, to get some Crowclan Preachers on the board, play some Druids, and then spam a whole bunch of alchemy cards to boost up those Preachers. Then we also have some other alchemy synergies with some big cards like Ale of the Ancestors. Basically, infuse one card multiple times with this so that you can spam some beer cards on that later on to get a whole bunch of additional boosts. And since we play twice as many beer cards as we would in Standard, that means this combo is way stronger than usual. We also have the Mushy Truffle to get more of those Crowclan Preachers, which is useful, and play Golden Froth, which we can play twice, so once again, much better than usual. And then the other big combo that we have is that we can use those Preachers aggressively in early rounds and then bring them back with Freya'S Blessing, and since we play Freya'S Blessing twice, that means we can get a whole bunch of Preachers and probably other cards in addition to just those Preachers back pretty easily. And that is facilitated further by having the new Heulyn, however you say her name, in our deck, which means we start with 5 bronze cards in our graveyard, so even if you don't have anything that has gone in your graveyard early, you can still have at least some options based on this. And then that means it's even easier than usual to use Otkell, once you've used your Freya'S Blessings, to replay them again, and by extension, play even more of those bronze units from your graveyard, and you can get up to 4 Freya'S Blessings in your graveyard. I think it's actually even possible to get a 5th, although that's difficult. Then that means Otkell, since he's going to play the first one twice, gives you just an absolutely ridiculous number of cards from your graveyard, and especially if you either already have Preachers on the board, or if the Preachers are some of the first units that you get out with these Freya'S Blessings, then that is just ridiculous tempo. So that makes this combo incredible in this event. Other than that, let's just flip through to show you what the other stuff is. For the most part, it's other Druids and alchemy cards that synergize with all these things, like Delirium. Playing that twice can be interesting because the echoed version gives us gold cards and adds more things to our graveyard, which again, makes it a little bit easier for us to tutor things out with the Freya'S Blessings. Bride of the Sea is the other way you can potentially either replay one of your 4 provision cost alchemy cards. That's straightforward because you don't need any rain. We don't have any rain from the cards in our starting deck. It is potentially possible with some of the ways we can get random units. If you can make that happen, then it is technically possible to get an additional Freya'S Blessing through Bride of the Sea. That's difficult, but that is the way that you could make Otkell even stronger. Ermion, tutoring more alchemy cards. Axel, big point slam, especially if you put him in the melee row for the Crow Eye Rhizome. Runestone, or alchemy, more units, and again, this is a way to get some random units that might be able to give you some rain to synergize with Bride of the Sea, but otherwise, you know, just take whatever the best card is. That's not a huge deal to maximize Bride of the Sea. Freya'S Blessing, as we were talking about before, can also reset either your scenario or your Mushy Truffle. Mahakam Ale, we have the beer cards. Again, you play these twice as often as you would usually play them, so that means the infusions from the Ale of the Ancestors is much stronger than it would be in Standard. And then, again, just a few more Druids, and the Invader is here because I don't remember why. Basically, mulligan it out, and a Druid, and the most important of Druids. So there's a look at the deck, and overall, it's about spamming the Druids and spamming the alchemy cards, which, because we play twice as many alchemy cards as usual, means this deck is way stronger than it was in Standard. So let's go give it a look. Alright, so going up against Nilfgaard here, and we'll go first. Okay, so of course we do have the Cursed Scroll, which we can use to give ourselves Oneiromancy if we don't mulligan into it here, because that is definitely our best card. Let's dump the Invader, I think. You can work well with Gedyneith Shadow and Mushy Truffle, so that's not terrible, but I think we'd like to get something other than Hermit to proc Gedyneith Shadow. And we do have Ermion, that is 1 Druid. I mean, I guess we kind of need to keep you just in case. I don't love having you in hand, because it's mostly the passive ability that we're using you for. Okay, so I mean, I think we'd like to use in Gedyneith's Shadow for round 1 as our primary win condition, and then I guess we'll use Curse Scroll, likely to give ourselves the Crow Clan Preachers, which unfortunately we did not see any of in our starting hand, although we could get one through Mushy Truffle. I mean, I guess we could go both Gedyneith's Shadow and Mushy Truffle round 1, and then save Ale the Ancestors for round 3. That might work, but let's go for this. Let's also see, there's a non-zero chance, I mean, this is Nilfgaard, they might be Mill, and that could change the direction we go in. Yeah, because they are. Yeah, their goal is not to play Gwent, their goal is to prevent us from playing Gwent, so that does change the way we go here, and in fact, double Oneiromancy, as good as it might be in other circumstances, is not so great on this occasion, because that means that we're going to start thinning out our deck quite considerably, and that's exactly what they want us to do, because that's their whole strategy. We do have a lot of cards in our graveyard, and so we could potentially get some of those out here using things like Freya'S Blessing, and that can sort of be a pseudo-counter to Mill. It's, you know, a little bit early for saying that just yet, but maybe we'll go... let's do Hermit, because it is a Druid, and it doesn't play a special card directly, so that means we'll just get the one from our scenario, which is useful, because that means we're not wasting a unit that would otherwise give us a special card, since we only double the first special card that we play every turn. This might be a... Yep, no. Operator, this is going to be for Kingslayer on both sides. They're going to create copies of it and mill out our deck. That's their whole strategy. And, oh, they're doing it immediately. Yep, and this is, you know, this is bad faith Gwent. This is, I think, the most disrespectful Gwent deck in existence, because, again, the whole purpose of it is to prevent us from playing Gwent, which I think defeats the whole purpose of having this game in the first place, but I have said this many times before. Okay, so... Okay, we know every single card in their deck at this point, so we should not be surprised at all by the things that they do. Unfortunate that they banished a Preacher, because we certainly do like to have those. They're really strong for us. As for what we want our second Druid to be, I mean, it could be another Hermit, but maybe we go... Rather than Oneiro, we use Curse Scroll to get... the other Preacher, because we'd rather not see that get banished. We'll put you back in the deck. We'll play you. And honestly, I wish you had slightly less power and we could just destroy you with Martyrum. That'd be really nice. I mean, you're going to get really big, so I actually don't love you being the target of Martyrum. But the thing about Mill, the deck that they're playing, is that it does not score a lot of points. Their whole win condition is to... play more cards than us in round 1, because that's the only way they will eventually out-tempo us, or outscore us, because they don't have tempo. And then they will push aggressively in round 2, not really to try to score points, but just to do exactly what they're doing here. Remove all the cards from our deck to prevent us from playing any cards at all in round 3. So basically, we have to 2-0 them, is the big picture here. And... we're going to need to make a call as to how early can we pass in round 1 and still outscore them. Because, again, we're going to score way more points more quickly than they are, but they're willing to play more cards than we are. So that's sort of the two competing priorities there. I suppose if we're thinking we're going to have to 2-0 them, then Mushy Truffle is not a terrible thing to commit in round 1, since the whole resilience aspect doesn't mean much if we're not going to play in round 3. This would be the time to use it. So, and I guess you could say the same about Ale the Ancestors. In fact, yeah. Which one is better to play first? I mean, they're both actually kind of high priorities to play relatively early, I suppose. Let's put you here, I guess. Yeah, and I suppose if I had thought that one through a little bit more, technically speaking, that would have been a little bit better to have done a little bit earlier. Okay, now that's... they're committed to it. If we're concerned about board space and Martyrum on the Informants could have been a solution to that problem, I suppose. Okay, there's the Oneiromancy. Now, normally you might say, oh my goodness, that's the best possible card for them to mill. We should be really, really worried about that. But as I was saying, their whole strategy is to get rid of all the cards in our deck. And so Oneiromancy would have helped them remove all the cards in our deck. So we don't want that. The most valuable things here are actually these Freya'S Blessings. Those are the things at this point that we really want to see, really want to make sure that they do not get the chance to use, or rather to mill. So, again, if we're assuming that this is going to be functionally a 2-round match, then Ale the Ancestors might as well play it now, because then we get the resilience carrying over into round 2. So I think that does make sense for us to go for that. And as for who we want to hit with this, I mean, I think you go for something relatively small, like maybe even one of these crows. And I don't really think we're going to find ourselves aggressively pushing much further in this round. I don't think we're going to want to use this order ability. I think we want to save that for the next round. I mean, they've fully clogged our board. Not terribly surprised by that. I mean, again, they're doing any and everything they can to be as disrespectful as possible. So that's not actually that big of an issue, though, because at this point we have a fair number of... granted, we did get rid of a few of our boosting alchemy cards, but we do have some ways to boost ourselves up even when we don't have any board space left. So, but now we, again, need to ask ourselves, can we consider passing at this point, or do we need to go a little bit further first so that we can make sure they don't catch us just by playing more cards than we do? So I think maybe we'll go with this golden froth here on this crow. And although it's only been infused once since we played the Ale of the Ancestors a little bit late, I think that's still half decent because we obviously will play it twice in this event. We'll get those extra boosts on the bonded preachers. And, you know, we're getting double value on the infusion. Okay, so there they pass. So, yes, we have played one more card than them. However, we still need to win round 2, and that's where having 2 resilience artifacts carrying over that still have order abilities that we can use can be really helpful. And the plus side of them milling a bunch of cards from our deck is that, technically speaking, we do have more consistency now, and these were the cards we really wanted to see, these Freya'S Blessings, so that we could use Otkell and be able to get these Freya'S Blessings reused. Ermion is a tutor, which means he will thin our deck further, which means we may not want to see him. I'm thinking he might be the card that we dump here. And the Druid could be useful if we can get some more of the crows, which we should be able to do with... Oh no, we don't have it in hand. Okay, hold on. Okay, well, that could prove a little bit tricky. Let's just see if we have anything in our... I was going to say, the Rhizome we can potentially replay if we had you, but we don't. Do we have any units we could bring back with Freya'S Blessing that could give us some crows? Sirens, yes. Crows, it doesn't really look like. So you might be a bit of a brick, but first we want to get some units out here, and I think we would like to do that with Freya'S Blessing. In fact, and we should probably go with preachers. This is an alchemy card that we're playing right now, so that means creatures will get boosted in the process. And let's do that. Granted, you know, whoever you hit with this first infusion, you kind of want to load up the additional infusions on them as well, which means they're going to get huge, and the preacher is already a card that was going to get pretty huge. So that does mean that this is going to be really tall, and if they have tall removal, which they might, then it's going to be a really good target for them to go after. I mean, as I was saying, we know exactly what every single card in their deck is. If the fact remains the same. They're trying to remove every card that we have in our deck so that we can't play anything in round 3. That's why we're assuming that we have to make this be a 2-round match. And unfortunately, Axel 3 Eyes is a decent card, and we could have really used those crows. I mean, we weren't going to have a way to play him in this round anyway, but when it comes to them stealing cards from us, that's a little bit unfortunate. The Kingslayers at this point don't really matter because we've accepted the fact that we aren't going to be able to play any of this stuff. So now, let's go for the other Freya'S Blessing. I think we still have... Yes, we do have a Preacher. For for what it's worth. Can we use... I suppose we could use an informant to create a crow to unbrick the druid. Is that worth doing? It honestly might be. Although the initial play is not worth much. The long-term value of it is still decent. It still should be you first. But I think it actually is this. Crazy as this may sound. So you will get banished from you. Okay, cool. It's gonna... Oh, no! You weren't supposed to do that. Okay, I mean... Obviously, their initial plan was to Cantarella, have her be the target of the coup. But I guess they did kind of read that I did very much want to have at least one crow. Alright, fine. Be that way. We won't have any crows. Well, I mean, Runestone, I guess there's a chance. So yes, we do want to put another card on the other side of this Preacher, because we are going to have this be the target of the Golden Froth. It needs to be the middle target of Golden Froth for the infusion to count. So we need something there. We also will have a Golden Froth here. We can use you to reset that. But you're going to have to go range row. So I think whatever we go with here is probably going to have to go next to you. Do we have... We're not going to have much damage. So I don't think you matter that much. Don't exactly think the Scald is a good idea. The Half-Roof Singer does not have anything to heal at the moment. I'm not really sure we're going to have anything to heal at any point in time. But we'll put you there. Oh, but that's great. I do love this, though. I do love that, though. Technically, the opposite order, of course, would have been preferable, but we had no way of controlling that. Okay, so here's where they're going to remove every single card from our deck, so we know what they're going to have here. They will be able to use the, they will have a crow, at least, as a target for the Druid. Do they have any bronze cards in their graveyard? They actually might. I don't remember. So this was their whole objective, was to remove every single card from our graveyards, or rather from our deck, so that we couldn't play it all in round 3. We expected this. We were prepared for it, so hopefully we should still be fine here. But that is, of course, just confirmation of what they were looking to do. So now we have played all of our Freya'S Blessings, which means we can use our Freya'S Blessings. Oh, actually, which means we could create another crow, I suppose. Because we're going to have a lot. Like, we're going to have a lot of Freya'S Blessings. So when we use that, I mean, we could return the favor. We are probably going to need to return the favor with some Kingslayers, because otherwise we might run out of stuff here. No. I think we still have enough things. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. So, lots and lots of you. I think first we go here. Then we'll go here. Then we'll go here. And then maybe here. So it's you. We still have another one? Wow. Okay. It's you. I just want this to be a crow. I want this to be a crow. Is it a crow? It might be a crow. I don't know. It is a crow. We're good. Don't worry about it. So we're both going to be running a little bit low on board space, for what it's worth. But that was a lot of special cards. It was a lot of alchemy cards, which means these creatures are now pretty huge. Which means we might want to start breaking these things out before they get any big ideas here. We also could... And now that we potentially have set up for this Druid to do her thing by removing this crow, we might be able to get a Martyrum out from our graveyard and or use our leader ability to remove some things like the Sirens, which, although in theory gave us some value from this Half-Roof Singer, in truth are just clogging our board and making things a little bit difficult for us. Alright, it's another Kingslayer, which at this point is just a 4-point body, not doing much else. Okay, so now the tricky part is, you are row-locked to the range row to do anything special. However, you don't do anything until we use Mushy Truffle. And if we use Mushy Truffle, we're going to heal a card, which is going to create a Siren in both rows, I think. So that's where things get tricky. I think we might still have a workaround, though. So if we do this, technically this is the wrong order, but you don't have a way to cancel out these order abilities. I was going to use the infusion first, which would have made this more valuable. But here you see we're out of board space. Would be an issue if we did not have a way to say, do that, and just get rid of you. because you were clogging our roads. So now we can do... I think it's going to have to be this. And then we do this. And then we do this. And then once again, we just remove one of our own cards just for the sake of preserving board space because we need it. Maybe they'll play a couple disloyal units and it's all for naught, but we'll see. Because we want to sneak in you. Would have liked to have gotten somebody in between these two cards. Because obviously this creature is pretty ginormous and would have gotten a little more ginormous if we had done this in the correct order. But she's going to get bigger still because she's going to be the target for both of these special cards, which we will both play twice. And then we're hoping to reset this Mushy Truffle order as well. So that's going to be, as we were saying, a big target for them to go after if they do have any tall removal. And they do. Okay, well, it was going to happen sooner or later, I suppose. Do still have a big lead, but that was obviously our preferred target for all the Ale of the Ancestors infusions and all the other alchemy cards that we were looking to play. So I think what we'll do in that case, since we do not currently have anyone who has been infused by Ale of the Ancestors anymore, I think we reset the Mushy Truffle on this turn, and then by next turn we'll be able to infuse somebody, and at this point we will not make it a huge Crow Clan creature so that we are not just inviting more humongous tall removal, which again, we anticipated might end up happening, but at the time we didn't have a way to avoid. Is range row the correct row? Yes, it is. And again, on the previous turn, we deliberately used some Martyrworms to do what might have, on paper, looked like negative value plays, but we needed them to create space for Dwimveandra. And also, you know, here comes Vilgefortz, the other card that I think is competing for one of the worst designed cards in the game. Because that's a pretty lazy form of removal there that should not be worth that much value. Okay, but now we still have some big finishers here. Obviously, they removed our two biggest cards, which does stick, but I think we can still pull this off. So again, we are going to infuse here, and whatever we infuse is going to receive a whole bunch of boosts, so we would like for the target to be something that is relatively small at the moment, but it does need to have things on either side so that the Golden Froth can do all of its boosting. It could be this Warcrier. That's already a little bit big, and they do have one damage card, so it will get bigger still. So I think we go instead for something in this row. Let's go for the Crow Clan Druid, and then let's do, I guess, this. I'm going to hold off on these two, just in case they're about to use some other form of tall removal, in which case we'll want to mix our boosts on someone else. I deliberately also boosted someone who did not have a status. Yeah, okay, so like every single conceivable card that could be perceived as being broken, disrespectful, lazy, you know, rewards zero skill gameplay where it's just unconditional removal and whatnot. Which is why I don't respect anyone who has anything to do with these kind of decks, because you know what you're doing if you're doing this. Every single card in your deck is designed to just ruin all the fun. You're not fooling anyone with it. It's blatantly obvious what you're trying to do, and I don't respect it. Alright, and again, at this point we are just going very tall on this card because they did not use any removal on it, and you are the one that has the infusion. So it's not as big a lead as I would like it to be at this point, given how much removal they had, but we'll see what they can do here. Obviously, Kingslayer is not very valuable, it's just a 4-point body. And their board is full at this point, so what can they do? Nothing at all. So there you have it. They tried to spoil the fun, and yet they still lost. So there's a look at a Skellige alchemy deck for the new dual casting seasonal event. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and leave a comment down below letting me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions we should experiment with next. And take a look at our dual casting playlist to see previous decks that we've used in this event as well. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.